Hello everyone, welcome to another Quad Education Test Prep Fundamentals video. My name is Tom, and today we're going to be talking about one of the new question types found in the digital SAT. That question type is going to be function of a sentence, found in the reading test. So let's take a look. Okay, let's talk about a new digital SAT question type. This one is called function of a sentence, or maybe at least I should say that's the label that I've given to it. And that is because the way that we spot them is the question begins with which choice best describes the function of what sentence, the second sentence, third sentence, first sentence. So really for these, it's a pretty straightforward approach, really three things to think about as you're solving them in the context of the digital SAT. First, you want to get full context. So you don't really need to read the sentence question so much because it's always going to be which the following is the way that the sentence functions in the selection, but you will need to read the text that the question is about. So get a full read of that, see what's going on. Next, you want to analyze the sentence itself. So what do you think, in your own words, is the purpose of this sentence? What is it doing? Why is it here? And whether that's a high degree of detail or only some detail is okay, because as we look to process of elimination, which is the last step here, we're going to be able to be more specific about what we're looking for. So instead of making some of my own examples here, I'm going to just show what the SAT with the College Board has provided. Since it's such a new test, it's going to be really important for us to adhere very specifically to what they're providing. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. Okay, first example here. Go ahead and take a look and try and do this one yourself before I go through it. See how you do. All right, let's take a look. So as we expected, which choice best describes the function of the second sentence? And they've underlined it for us so we know which one they're referring to. In the overall structure of the text. Again, not super important that we look at the question because this is basically what it's always going to say. So the passage here says, astronomers are confident that the star Betelgeuse will eventually consume all the helium in its core and explode in a supernova. They're much less confident, however, about when this will happen, since that depends on the internal characteristics of Betelgeuse that are largely unknown. Astrophysicist Serafina El-Badri Nance and colleagues recently investigated whether acoustic waves in the star could be used to determine internal stellar states, but concluded that this method could not sufficiently reveal Betelgeuse's internal characteristic to allow its evolutionary state to be firmly fixed. So let's talk about what we think potentially this sentence here is doing. So we have this first little clause that says they are much less confident about when. So that's to say we know what's going to happen, we just don't know when. So this example sentence here is giving us a little bit of the uncertainty associated with the scientists who have opinions on this star, since that depends on internal characteristics of Betelgeuse that are largely unknown. We have an uncertainty and then an explanation regarding that uncertainty. Now let's take a look at the answers and see what we can get rid of. It explains how the work of Nance and colleagues was received by others. So this word right here, others, we have no idea how other people feel about this. It presents the central finding reported by Nance and colleagues. I think finding and also central doesn't really pertain to the idea here that there's uncertainty about when this star will collapse, so I'm going to say no to this one right away. It identifies the problem that Nance and colleagues attempted to solve but did not. So this is a problem, and I do like that. And attempted to solve but didn't. And so we see that internal characteristics being unknown, and then Nance and colleagues tried to use acoustics, but it could not reveal. So I do quite like this because they were not able to solve this problem using their attempted experiment. Finally, it describes a serious limitation of the method. Ooh, method used by Nance and colleagues. So there's no method in here. It's just we have a problem. We don't know this and why it is that we don't know this thing about the star. So out of these answers, I'm going to go ahead and go with C. And this is pretty clearly the one that most clearly lines up with the function of this sentence in here. And if you break it down this way every time, I think you'll see that it'll come into focus a lot better. All right, we've got our next example here. I've gone ahead and moved this question over here just in case my face is in the way. So this is the question for this piece of evidence. All right, let's take a look. So which choice best describes the function of the third sentence, which they've underlined for us, in the overall structure of the text? So it's always going to be the same. What's the point of this right here? So we'll go ahead and look at the whole text. The mimosa tree evolved in East Asia, where the beetle, whatever that Latin name is, preys on its seeds. In 1785, mimosa trees were introduced to North America, far from any of this beetle. But evolutionary links between predators and their prey can persist across centuries and continents. Around 2001, the beetle was introduced to southeastern North America, near where botanist Xu Meichang and colleagues had been monitoring mimosa trees. Within a year, 93% of the trees had been attacked by beetles. So if we're thinking about what this is right here, I'm not really seeing much evidence here. This is what I'm going to say is more of a statement. It's not a hypothesis. It's not saying our guess is this because of this. It's saying this is true. Well, it is asserting that evolutionary links between predators and prey can persist for a long time and for a large area. So let's go ahead and see which of these answers hopefully line up with the answer that I've made. It states that the hypothesis that Chang and colleagues, I already don't like the fact that it says hypothesis. The hypothesis that Chang and colleagues had set out to investigate using mimosa trees in the beetle hypothesis would be they figured this because of that or something to that effect. And they're not really investigating it. I sort of, but I mostly don't like the fact that it says hypothesis. It presents a generalization that is exemplified by the discussion. I do like that it's not a hypothesis. It is sort of just a statement, general statement. Links between predators and prey, very general. So I don't mind this one. It offers an alternative explanation to the findings of Chang and colleagues. It's not an alternative. This is that finding. This instance, this illustration is what they say here. So I'm going to say no to that. It provides context that clarifies why species mentioned spread to new locations. We know why they spread. We brought them over there on probably boats. So I'm going to say no to that one, leaving us with B as the best answer. And hopefully that's a pretty good illustration of how to do this problem, because it's always basically going to look like this. Okay, that's it for this video. Remember, when you're doing function of a sentence questions, first get the full context, next get the function of the sentence itself in your own words, and then use process of elimination. If you found this material useful, we hope that you will like and share the video and subscribe to Quad Education. If you have any questions or require any further tutoring, please reach out to us. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.